Here is my Dexter Season 3, Episode 12 recap. This episode is entitled, Do You Take Dexter Morgan? And is the final episode of Season 3. All right. I appreciate everybody who's watching the recaps. If you haven't already, please like the video, hit the subscription button, and the notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up. I'm going to continue to recap every single episode all the way through Season 8 as we lead up to Season 9, which will be coming out in fall of this year on Showtime. The beginning of this episode, we find that Dexter has left Miguel Prado in a field, kind of out by the coast, or in the bay area, in kind of a park area, just green grass with some trees, and basically a jogger or a walker finds him, and then the news, the paramedics, police department, everybody converges in there, and Dexter has to put on a show, showing that his best friend is dead. Miguel's brother actually shows up and really goes after Dexter, and you find out later in the episode that Miguel told his brother, I need you as a bodyguard against Dexter Morgan. So there's a scene he has with Miguel's brother in the police department. Well, not in the police department, in the jail. Because there's a scene in this episode where Dexter he's looking for him to get him to shut up. He doesn't know how much Miguel has told him. He doesn't know anything, but he concocts a scheme to get the ring that he got from Miguel to either frame or get his brother to shut up. He's at a dinner with a bunch of his cops and his friends around, and that's when Miguel's brother shows up and points a gun at him, and Batista comes in from behind along with Masuka, and they basically take him down, and he gets arrested, and he's put in jail. That's when Dexter goes to see him with the ring, trying to frame him or show him that he's going to gain control here. And he kind of pokes Miguel's brother, and he finds out that Miguel told him nothing. And he's able to have a conversation with Miguel's brother. And during this conversation, you find out that his brother has always lived in the shadows of Miguel. And Miguel's tired of it. And Dexter walks him off a ledge and tells him, you can have a life. Things aren't what they seem to be. You can now carve things out basically for yourself. And he calms him down and gets him to see a new light, want to be with his family, that kind of a thing, and gets the target taken off of himself. So he's free to go, and Dexter doesn't have to use the ring or do anything against Miguel's brother. They do believe that Miguel was killed by the Skinner because he does have patches of skin taken off that Dexter did. That leads us to Dexter getting ready for his wedding, because that's a big part of this episode. Now, right before I get to the wedding part of this, I want to talk about what happened with Dexter's sister. She ends up getting a promotion to detective. In the last episode, Batista actually put in with LaGuerta to have her basically make detective, and there were some things in her past, well, not actually in her past, in her present, sleeping with the CI, Antone, that could prevent her from getting her badge. So in this episode, we have LaGuerta calls Morgan in, sits her down, and says, what are you getting out of this? What do you want with the relationship, with the case that you're on? What's going on? And she lays it out right there in front of her and tells her, I still like Antone. I don't want to give him up, not even for this job. I'm willing to give up the case and my badge if that's what it means. And that's when LaGuerta says, you're sticking to your guns. You're one of the smartest, most intelligent people in this department. She gave her badge, gave her her detective badge and let her become detective, because LaGuerta's learning to become more human through this season and understanding that, the backstabbing is not necessarily the way to go. And she had it out basically for Dexter's sister throughout season 1 and 2. Looks like that hatchet is pretty much buried in this episode. So that leads us to Dexter getting ready for his wedding. One thing I forgot to mention is that Miguel's brother ransacked Dexter's house. And Dexter was afraid that his slides were taken, and that didn't happen. That's one of the things that led up to him getting arrested, was that he had ransacked Dexter's apartment and actually ruined what he was going to wear to the wedding. So he had to go in at the last minute to the tailor to get his stuff ready for his wedding. And when he comes back out to get in his car, he is taken by the Skinner. So towards the end of this episode, he's in a warehouse, which is kind of an abandoned tobacco facility. And in that facility, Dexter's on the table, tied up with the Skinner. They're getting ready to kill him and question him about where Freebo is. When Dexter has a flashback with his dad, not a flashback, has a conversation with his dad, his dark passenger, and his dad tells him, do you have anything to live for, basically? You've never been in this situation. And Dexter's like, yeah, I have a son coming. Basically, I want to live. His dad starts to cry, and Dexter's like, I've never seen you cry. I forgive you, Dad, for everything you did. And his dad tells him, I'm not the one crying. It's not my tears. It's yours, because you're going to have a son. You have something to live for. So Dexter decides to turn the table on the Skinner, knowing how he operates and how he's so proper and wants to be in control. And basically Dexter takes the control out of his hands, tells him, I already killed Freebo, tells him all this. And the guy doesn't believe it. And is getting, tells Dexter, I'm going to go get my tools and I'm going to make you tell me what really happened. And that's when Dexter is able to, he kind of tips the table over, breaks his hand, is able to break free, struggles with the Skinner when the police department shows up because they had taken a leaf out of his car after the guy had crashed. That's one thing I forgot to mention, is that the Skinner did crash following Dexter. There was a traffic accident, and they caught him on video, basically. And when they found the car and they got the car in impound, they found the tobacco leaf in there. And that's how they were able to find that facility. And so the police department shows up, and Dexter's got to get out of there, because if they see that Dexter had been kidnapped, it's not going to make any sense to the police department, and it's going to raise a whole lot of questions. So Dexter is on the second level of this building, and he throws the body down so that he hits the car, and the guy gets run over by the car, and this is after he'd already snapped his neck. So it looks like he did basically death by cop, suicide by cop. And they close the case. That's when Dexter leaves out one of the windows and goes to his wedding, shows up with a broken hand, and marries Rita. That's how this episode ends. And as he's talking about his future with Rita, he starts to bleed out of his thing, and it runs down the nice white dress of his new bride, and that's how the season ends. So my next video is actually going to be my overall feelings of the season, just kind of a recap of my review, not so much a recap, just my review of what I thought of the season overall. And then I will be starting on season 4. So I appreciate everybody who's sticking around. I'm going to continue to do these reviews and these recaps. I do appreciate it. So look for that recap shortly. And again, thanks again, and know that the new season of Dexter will be coming in the fall of 2021. In fact, they get ready to film it pretty soon.